how do you look at branding for individuals as a differentiating factor?
This belief you need to put into you, irrespective of the fact whether you're a new job seeker, you're a career professional looking to get promoted or change jobs, or you're a senior professional, coming out of your job contract, or you're a business owner, or you're an entrepreneur, whatever you are across those verticals. The first thing is you're unique. And let me give you the proof of being unique. We all know this. 7.5 billion people globally, and even in India with 1.4, 1.5 billion people, you will not find two having the same fingerprints or the same iris, right? Now, ask yourself the simple question. It's a rhetorical question. Why are each of us biologically unique? From a fingerprint and an iris perspective, which then goes back to saying there's a purpose why we are each unique. We have our own unique strengths, weaknesses, which we can use. But when you combine those strengths together, it becomes a force. When you combine the weaknesses together, you change the weakness into an opportunity. Let me bring it back. I know it's a bit philosophical. So, to brand yourself, look at yourself as being the CEO of Me Private Limited, ME Capital. You look at yourself as the product or the service.
Hello, a very good morning to all. I'm Swaroop Gandevar, organizer and host at LinkedIn Local Nagpur. And today we are going to discuss on this topic known as growing importance of branding for job search. And today we have an eminent personality with us who is going to share an experience of more than 3 decades in various formats, in various industries, working across different countries, different nations, in different verticals. So we first of all would like to welcome guest for today's session, Mr. Joy Abdullah. Let me introduce him in brief. I think I will run out of words while introducing him. Still, I'll try to do my bit by giving a short introduction about him. So, first of all, welcome, Joy.
Thank you,
So,
Swaroop. Pleasure to be
yeah,
here.
thank you. So, Joy is a marketing wizard who helps you marketing be the strategic differentiator for your business, resulting in having an engaged community that consistently earns your business revenue. His marketing inside out process helps business owners in humanizing their business using their marketing. He works with businesses by facilitating the development of unique 360-degree brand experience through leadership clarity, process thinking, strategic marketing, strategic partnerships, resulting in ensuring efficacy of your marketing strategy to give you engagement, profitability, social good. With over 3 decades of experience in Asia centric strategic marketing in the domain of management consulting, higher education, financial services, tourism and hospitality, telecommunication, advertising agencies. Uh, we are running out of words to express even our gratitude for having you today. And it's a big day for all of us at LinkedIn Local Nagpur to host you. So, welcome on board, Joy. And as your name suggests, when you are there, joy is guaranteed.
Swaroop, thank you so much. I'm honored and privileged to be on LinkedIn Local Nagpur. And hello to everybody from Malaysia. It's good afternoon at my time, and good morning to you all. Thank you to you, and a shout out to Preeti for having me as a guest, because topic close to my heart. It's a period that we are all going through with the so-called unemployment in every part of the world, just going through the roof. We are reading about it. There are a lot of job seekers who are well stressed, and there's a bit of me that relates to this 3 years ago, and I'll come to that later. All right. Thank you, Swaroop.
So, Joy, like you have pointed out, the world today is going through quite a scary situation because as an individual, people think that if we don't differentiate ourselves, we become obsolete rather. So, how would you share your thoughts on this thing that being a brand is the biggest differentiator today? So it's really very important for any individual to understand that branding today has become an indispensable aspect of every individual, whether it's an individual, whether it's an organization. Even as an organization, when they look at as an employee, they want them to be their brand ambassadors. While doing that, they are looking at such people who would rather focus on the branding aspect, because branding is an essential aspect today. It's not just for the sake of being something or known for, but it is a differentiating factor. So, Joy, I think we have lost him. There is some technical glitch. No worries. We think that, yeah, yeah. So he'll come back soon. But yes, people who are attending this session, I have a question for you all. Yeah, Joy, welcome back.
Sorry, Swaroop. I don't know.
No
It's
worries,
peak time at my end, so
no worries,
tech
no
is
worries,
overloaded or online. I lost you in
no worries.
between your question. My
Sure,
apologies.
sure. See, I was asking you that how do you look at branding for individuals as a differentiating factor?
Uh, let me take this up. See, let me break this down. We, when we are born, we are given a name. Our parents lovingly give us names. So Joy is part of my birth name. It's not a name. It's not a nickname. It's part of my birth name, and that becomes our identity for our entire life. Whatever 90 years, 100 years, 80 years that we live becomes our life. So the question comes when you are an adult, you're coming out of, let's say you've done your school, you've done your university, you've done your post grad, you're going out to be a new job seeker, a young job seeker, or you're a career professional, you're working and you're going to change jobs, or you work for 20 years, or like me, you work for 30 over years and then decided it's time to do something on your own. You're going into having a business, you're going to be an entrepreneur. This is the times, these are the verticals, if I may say, for an individual when personal brand becomes very, very important. So you are the product, you are the service, you're branding yourself, and you need to talk. What is it that makes you different? The first thing starts with your name. So, my example, the best example I can give to our listeners is your name, Swaroop. You didn't choose it. Your parents lovingly gave it, as we were talking just before we came into the life. The double A and the double U in your spelling, in place of being SWARUP, is a choice that they willingly made because all parents feel that their children are unique. And this is the mindset that you need, this belief you need to put into you, irrespective of the fact whether you're a new job seeker, you're a career professional looking to get promoted or change jobs, or you're a senior professional, coming out of your job contract, or you're a business owner, or you're an entrepreneur, whatever you are across those verticals. The first thing is you're unique. And let me give you the proof of being unique. We all know this. 7.5 billion people globally, and even in India with 1.4, 1.5 billion people, you will not find two having the same fingerprints or the same iris, right? Now, ask yourself the simple question. It's a rhetorical question. Why are each of us biologically unique? From a fingerprint and an iris perspective, which then goes back to saying there's a purpose why we are each unique. We have our own unique strengths, weaknesses, which we can use. But when you combine those strengths together, it becomes a force. When you combine the weaknesses together, you change the weakness into an opportunity. Let me bring it back. I know it's a bit philosophical. So, to brand yourself, look at yourself as being the CEO of Me Private Limited, ME Capital. You look at yourself as the product or the service. So now let's take it across those verticals. So you're a job seeker, you're a career professional. I'm going to talk on those two first because job seekers are what's important. I've come across a lot of job seekers, and I've done the same, fallen into the same trap myself 3 years ago, where our normal habit is I'm looking for a job. Let me put down my entire job responsibility on my resume, and then put down my position, and my designation is my identity. And then I'm going to apply to every single job that I can find on online job boards and LinkedIn and my friends, whoever. I'm just going to keep. So the idea becomes, if I apply to 1,000 jobs in 7 days, chances are I'm going to be called for 2 or 3. No, no, because now automation is there at the back end, and the automation reads bits and bytes. It doesn't read Swarup Gandhar. It doesn't understand it, right? So how do you differentiate when you're searching for a role? You build yourself, your personal brand up. Remember, I just said, build your me private limited. Me private limited is basically your name, what you stand for, which starts from what are your values? And your values are already in you, whether you're 20 years old or 25 years old. Your values by the age of 10 or 11 are already in. Now, if you don't know what are your values, talk to friends, family, buddies, best mates, to say, hey, what do you think? Am I honest? Am I kind? Am I, do I have integrity? Find your values, number one. Number two, from your values, what what makes you really happy? What is that interest that you have? And do pardon me, I have to use a little bit of Hindi here. उस interest में passion क्या है? अपना you find this little chulbuliness coming from your heart about that interest. Write that down. That's your dream. Even if you haven't visualized it, put it down somewhere. Now, all you've got to do, the third level is, can you start? And I'm sure everybody who's on the stream right now, you're on the stream. That means you're connected to the internet. If you're connected to the internet, chances are you've got a couple to 3 social media accounts. And for a change, can you stop stressing on how beautiful she's looking on her picture in Instagram and start actually talking about what matters to you? Hey, doesn't matter if you get 1 like or 0 comments. Write, because your intention, your objective is to tell a particular target audience, i.e., the HR head, the CEO of a particular company, who you are, what matters to you. And this is where I am a cusp between Gen X and a baby boomer. And I work across generations because that's my role. My role in a marketing consulting is behavior, looking at consumer and employee behavior. So I actually map and I actually see trends. And I have to see the younger generations who are now below the millennial, the Gen Z and below. If you look at them, they are far more intentional in their approach in their digital online communication. To job search people, and this is specifically for whether you are a 10-year career person or a 20-year career person, a CEO, or you're getting out of Nagpur, as you said, Swaroop, hundreds of engineering universities and colleges, and people and people need job. How are you going to differentiate from engineering university college A to college B? Civil engineering, electrical engineering, on whatever computer science is still the same, right? The only differentiating factor is you, the alphabet U inside YOU. You have to bring that out. How do you bring it out? Communicate. What do you communicate? What do you stand for? What are your values? What are your beliefs? So if it's empowerment, good. If it's climate change, good. If it's poverty, hunger, whatever, talk about that. And along with that, give a perspective why you feel that, and then bring in your interest. And the third leg is going to be, how does that engineering work connect to that value, to that interest? How does so you're, let's say, for example, you're really worried about hunger in India. We've got a large population that is below poverty line. We know about hunger. So what is it that you've done in engineering that you think could be done for mechanized or automated agriculture to increase agri production? Come from that angle. Now, you have to strategize when you're job searching, which industry am I going to? It can't be, oh, I've done electrical engineering, I'm going to go everywhere, because everybody needs an electrical. You've got to be, am I going to go to refrigeration? Am I going to go to cold chain? Am I going to go to HVAC? What is the area that I'm going to want to specialize in? You've got to have that clarity. Again, if you don't have it, talk to people. Talk to your professors. They'll be able to guide you. Quick story, backstory. 35 years ago, I was in B school. I was all ready for a career in Forex, mergers and acquisitions. I was specializing with finance, right? Out of Calcutta. And that was the first year in my third semester that a global ad agency came to the campus for marketing recruitment to recruit B school grads as their management trainees. Okay, I'm talking about 1986, 85 end, that far back, history, dinosaur age. And my head of marketing, he called me and he said, Joy, please attend this interview. And I said, Prof, I mean, I'm doing finance, minor. My marketing is a minor. I don't even know anything about advertising. It's one paper in there. Why do you want me? He said, Meri baat suno, go in there. You have all it takes to be in marketing. And today, God bless him, he's no longer there. Bless his soul. That was a catalytic decision in my career. I attended the interview. I was hired on campus. I started work in June 1986 with what is now J. Walter Thompson in India, right? And since then till today, I've stayed and had a love affair that has been growing with every day in marketing. I've spent 18, 19 years with global ad agencies and then I've gone into strategy. But the point I'm making here is when you know what your interests are, what you're passionate about, sometimes you need a little nudge from somewhere else to tell you, focus here, communicate here, and you'll get it. That's example one. Example two, and I'll now bring the business owners and entrepreneurs in. 3 years ago, on January 2018, I was finishing a role, a very senior role in Malaysia, and it's on my LinkedIn profile for anybody who wants to see. I was head of strategy and corporate affairs, which covered marketing, business development, and you name it. I had 4, 5 portfolios, 10, 12 member team and everything. And as a foreigner in Malaysia, if you're not a CEO, you get a double stint of 3.5, 3 years. So I was finishing that, and I was done. I was like, I need a new challenge, and I was coming out, and I said, okay, no worries. As you mentioned, thank you for mentioning it. 3 decades of experience across Asia, from Middle East all the way till Malaysia, Indonesia. I'll get a job. 30 days, 45 days, I'll get a job. I prepared my resume, dusted off, put my achievements, started applying, used my phone, started calling people. 3 things happened. First, people who I thought were friends and network, right? They disappeared. Because you know what? I was no longer head of strategic planning. I was just Joy Abdullah. My identity was with that designation. The second thing that happened is I realized I was coming up against 2 barriers, being on the senior end of the hierarchy of the corporate ladder and of age. I was facing both age and price. Because at the end of the day, in employment, you're a number, you're paid for your time, is paid for the money that they pay you as salary. That's how the equation works. That was the second thing that happened. And the third was I sat down literally and I asked myself, what is it that I want to do? Do I really want to have another role? Do I want to, be in employment? And honestly, as much as I needed the security of the salary for our bills and everything that we all have, the third one drove me to do what I'm doing today, which is I've worked for 30 years plus. I really want to do something more. And having answered that came to personal branding. I sat down and I did exactly what I'm sharing. Who is Joy Abdullah? And today, 3 years down the line, the results, the community, the growth is there on LinkedIn for people to see. I connect people. I work with clients. I don't work with 10 clients. I work with 4 clients. Why? Because I work with co-partners. My partners, one is in Sydney, one is in Singapore. I work with co-partners. We can individually manage full-time work that way. So coming back, job seekers, business owners, entrepreneurs, and job seekers at all levels. 3 things I'll ask you to do. First, focus on me private limited. You are the CEO of your life. What you decide, you have to be very intentional. The choice you make today is going to have a consequence. It's going to give you an effect tomorrow. Find out what are your core values. From there, second step is what really is your passion or your interest. This is the classic millions of dollars question. What's your why? What do you really love? Sometimes we What we love does not earn us money. But answer that question. And third, go out and start communicating. The world is now a virtual world. You do not have to travel to California to talk to somebody. As long as you're up at that hour, you can talk to that person. You can schedule calls. So, those are the three tips to build. The next two tips are important in terms of getting your personal brand to stand out, which is be consistent and be patient. When you identify and communicate on the first three tips, you're not going to have a lack of likes and comments. And let me tell you, it's good if you don't have a lack of likes and comments, because likes and comments does not bring you the money to pay your bills, to create your saving, to generate your livelihood. What does is the connection, it's an emotional connection from what you're communicating with somebody who would reach out and say, Swarup, I want to have a word with you. Can we schedule a call? And that can lead to a lot of things. Always explore opportunities. To do this, you need a lot of patience. Patience meaning feeling like, hey, I'm putting it out there, nobody's seeing. Keep doing it 7 days of the week. Consistency. Don't create your topic, stick onto that topic. Now, why does this work for business owners and entrepreneurs, especially in the work that I do for marketing for them? You see, if you have employees, any business has 4, 5 employees, or 20 employees, or 30 employees. Depending on the number of employees, take a core group of people and build their personal brands up. Use the personal brands of the employees and yourself as the business owner to communicate what you are doing in your work. So, Swarup, you're my direct example because you're my host. Mr. Webinar has done 300 over webinars, but Mr. Webinar talks about webinars and the content he brings in his webinars because he's Mr. Webinar. That's the branding of Swarup. That's the example. So as a business owner, if you want to grow and make it commercial, talk, use your team, grow their personal brand, talk. Now, yes, you can take, and there are lots of great experts in India who can help you structure this personal brand and deliver it collaboratively for you. You need some help, connect with me. I'm happy to guide you on that. Not a problem. But when you do this, two things happen. The employees are already being paid a salary, so there's no extra cost, but it becomes part of their job role. And why does it benefit? The employee's personal brand is getting seen. Their personal brand is growing while they're talking about the company and the company brand. Their personal brand is going. So there's an appreciation and reciprocal like happening here. The second thing is, the more you communicate through your employees and yourself, you're creating credibility. In place of getting Sachin Tendulkar to hold up, you pay Sachin Tendulkar 50 lakhs and hold up something, people will say, star, celebrity, done for the brand. But when you have your people talking about the brand, it's the resonancy, the connection is, hey, ye to mere jaise hai, the layperson on the street. So if you look at some of the Diwali ads that has come out of various brands in India this year, there's some extremely good examples of branding per se. And then you transfer it to yourself. So that's it in a nutshell. To summarize, be the CEO of your life, identify your values, what matters to you, what you stand for, how you behave, what is your passion interest, and communicate. When you do these three, having patience and consistency, these are the 5 points. This is what you're going to create. You're going to create familiarity with the audience you want to reach. Now, how do you want to reach the audience? Where do you want to identify them? It's a separate topic. I'm not going to run into the that we have so that we can take some questions. But focus, find your audience, and keep communicating. You'll create familiarity, or they'll get to know you. When they know you, there'll be two scenarios. They'll like you or they'll dislike you, which is good. Because if they like you, trust me, I have thousands of people who don't comment on my content, who don't engage with me at all, but out of the blue, I'll get a message or an appointment which comes out to says, we need a talk on this. And last is trust. When you start building your personal brand and you put yourself out there, yeah, it's scary, man and women, but go into that fear, do it regularly. And I can tell you, after the first 2 weeks, you'll start getting comfortable doing it on a schedule, and you'll be building trust. When likability happens, it gives people, that feeling of, I know this person, I understand what he or she stands for, I want to have a talk. It leads to that trust. When you have trust, boom, you've got it. So job seekers, when you build your brand up, let me tell you this: when your CV is shortlisted by an ATS and gets to an HR or a hiring team, the first point of reference is either on Google with your name or on LinkedIn with your name, right? Now, even LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter are being searched for your digital footprint. So please focus on your personal brand. Business owners and entrepreneurs, it's one of the most effective cost saving ways organically, as long as you want to invest that 3 or 4 months to build your environment so people know what you do, why you do, who you like to work with. When they know you as a person, then business will happen. Business is not done in cold, it's not a transactional deal. You must know who you're doing, because the work happens with who you know, not what you know. Thank you. Swarup, all yours.
Joy, I mean, something happens when you share your thought. Two things are trending now. I would like to tell you these two things. Number one is Me Private Limited. Now it has started trending. People have started talking about this. Yes, Me Private Limited is something that I'll be focusing in days to come. And number two, I can be a
Absolutely.
brand. This is something a sort of self discovery. And I thoroughly believe the day people remove this misconception or myth from their mind that only there are few people who can be a brand but I cannot be a brand, they will
Swarup, I have to
start
interject.
becoming a brand. And
Yeah,
I
sorry.
think
I
branding
was
is
saying
a,
I have to interject there
yes.
because you've just hit the nail on the head. And I want to bust this myth. I really want to bust this myth. I started this talk by saying, when you were born, your parents lovingly gave you a name. That very moment when your birth certificate with your name was registered, and when you as a child were able to recognize your name, and before you could even speak it, react to your mother or your father, you are already a brand at that point in time. Right now, you're the brand custodian. As the CEO of Me Private Limited, you are the custodian of you. I said this, it's your choices, intentional or otherwise, that will either make you mass or will make you unique. The choice is in your hands. You can choose to focus and build your brand. I've laid out the steps of how. But please remember, you're already a brand. Your name is already a brand. Please stop evaluating celebrity status as a personal brand. A personal brand is not a celebrity status. An influencer on Instagram is not a brand. It is a brand. The name is a brand. It's a company. It's a whole thing. But you are a human being with an clear identity, a biological identity, and a name identity. That's your passport. When you say Joy Abdullah, it should trigger a few images and adjectives in the back of somebody's mind. If they know your face, it'll bring the face up. It'll bring up, hopefully, I hope in my case, it'll bring up humility and integrity and marketing along with that. Now, I just say I'm a marketing wizard, but does that mean I'm cat's whiskers and marketing? No, I'm not. There are thousands of people all over the world who's good, but yes, I understand marketing in the Asian context. Will I be successful in US? I don't know. I've never done it. But at least when you look at yourself that way, that you're a brand, you are a brand from the moment you're speaking your name. And parents teach us this: value the name, our family name, our own name, reputation, family name, all of this, right? The same thing applies. You can't value that name if you don't have value for yourself. So you are a brand. And I would very strongly put this out: believe you are a brand, believe what you want to do, go ahead and do it. Take action. That's why we are human being, not human was, human will be. Be, do, keep doing, communicate. You'll get to the right point you want. Sorry to interject, Swaroop.
No, it was very important. It was rather necessary. There is one more myth, Joy. I would like you to share your thoughts on that. Now there are I'm talking about especially millennials. Millennials have this misconception that if I have my accounts on all the social media platforms, I'm a brand. So probably we need to educate them on this
No,
aspect.
we can educate, but I'm not going to go down that road. I'm going to give my perspective with my marketing hat on. Thank you, Swaroop. When you introduced me, you read through a lot of my few of my verticals that I've walked across, and I've done enough number of brands. I've lived through how marketing has evolved from the manual electronic typewriter age to Slack and Microsoft Teams today. The world has changed in the last 15 to 18 years. Social media has changed the world. Now, just because you open a name, i.e., an account, on 4 or 5 different social channels, you're not a brand. You're white noise. What is white noise? Sometimes when you put on the TV and the channel does not come in, you have that glitter. That's what you are. You become a brand, and you can become a brand, and you will be a brand even if you stand up on one channel, stand for something, communicate the benefit, what that something brings, all the way, which adds value to your community, your target audience, your group, the people you want to do. So you're a job seeker, you're an engineering graduate. You've got to communicate what is it that you're damn good at that adds value to that company who's going to hire you in that engineering discipline to do something. Now, you could be an engineer and a fan with an interest in marketing. So why don't you, because you're a qualified engineer, you understand the engineering framework, why don't you start focusing on how that helps in marketing of, you know, heavy engineering or infrastructure or whatever, because everybody needs marketing. And this is another myth. Sorry, I'm just going to digress for 30 seconds. Usually in sales, we are told the moment we are born, we are selling. I'd like to change that and make you think and ask you, from the time we are born, we're actually marketing. Let me give you an example. A newborn child cannot communicate, right? It just cries. But what does the cry indicate? Please give me milk. I'm hungry, or feed me. It's communicating, right? That's marketing. That's marketing and drawing attention to himself or herself as a baby to the mother, to the father, saying, I need something without in language. We are marketing from the moment we are born. And I bring this to our job seekers, our business owners, our entrepreneurs. Your personal brand, you're the CEO. If you don't communicate in your behavior, in your language, in your content, now the channels. So if you want to go from Delhi to Nagpur, you can go through the highway, you can fly, you can take the train, you can drive, you can take the bus. Those are social media channels. You have to choose, oh, I need speed, I have to fly. Oh, it's okay, I've got a day in hand, I'll drive down. Oh, but that'll be very tiring, I'll take the bus. So you get my meaning. You have to know what you want to achieve, the end goal, which means why are you putting out your content, who are you talking to. Once you know them, find out where are they, and then be on those channels. It's not, you're not a brand if you're across 4, 5, 6 channels. No, you're a brand when you add value to your community, the target audience that you want to engage with, and when they refer you when you're not in contact with them. Remember an English saying, what they say about you when you're not in the room is a reflection of your personal integrity, of your personal value. It's a quote out of leadership. Maybe I'm not quoting it correctly, but that's exactly how you are a brand. When your employee or your customer or your partner refers you, that is your key measurement, KPI, performance indicator, that you have achieved level 1 of branding. You're being referred. That's it. That's it. Otherwise, no. You've just got a bunch of channels. You're just traveling through all the ways to reach somewhere, wasting time and effort and money.
This concept that you have brought, white noise, is again trending. Wow, that's something brilliant that you have stated, because I have seen this happening. Joy, 10 years back when I completed my MBA, at that time there was one jargon that most of the people used to use. Again, it was in Hindi. Jo dikhta hai, wo bikta hai. And I used to think at that point of time, 10 years back, jo dikhta hai, wo bikta hai. And today, when I saw that Google AdWords ad, नजर वही आओ जहां उनकी नजर हो. So,
I've seen that.
two thoughts gave me. Yeah, you want to add
You know,
something?
जो दिखता है वही बिकता है. 10 years ago, you heard it. Let me give you the logic behind it. We see, this is neurological science logic. We see through our eyes what our mind tells us to see. And I'm stepping out of personal brand. So this is the point that a brand has to do. This is what I do when I make marketing different, when I make your marketing a strategic differentiator. Personal brand, because my process is very simple. I go and work with a company and I take their employees and I create that employee brand and I make them employees into influencers, bring in the customers and the business partners group to exchange, interact with the employees, create sales, create referrals, so the future sales pipeline is done. Now, the process, the strategy behind it makes the business after 16 weeks, 5 months, the business can tell me, thank you, Joy. Now we'll run it on our own. They have a sustainability, business continuity, because the future sales pipeline is done. The same thing works on personal brand. You build 3 years ago on LinkedIn. I think I was sitting on maybe 7,000 people who I didn't even know. I was one of those. I'd used LinkedIn as a client, I'd used LinkedIn as a job seeker, nothing else. And when I went through that process and I said, I'm going to stand for something, I'm going to share my experience in marketing, because my objective was I want to share with people who really want to do good for society, business and otherwise. Boom, right? By God's grace, you can go and check where I am today. Have I bought? No, I haven't. Do I grow by thousands in a week? I don't, and I like it. I grow by double digits, 10, 12, 15, 20 people a day. But now you imagine if you're growing 10 people, 5 people a day, in 7 days you've got 30, 35 people. In 1 month you've got 1,000 people, and you start talking to 1,000 people. Trust me, it's really, really hard to talk to so many together. But that's the point. What you tell people, what you show people, it will go into their subconscious, and that's why consistency is very important. You need to keep on hammering marketing rule 7 times, keep on going at it before the customer suddenly says, hey, okay, you're Swaroop, right? What are you saying? सातवीं बार वो बोलेगा, what are you saying? So be consistent, communicate, you influence, if I may use that word, what your customer wants to see. I'm just changing it to say, don't influence, be honest, connect from an interest perspective, that you are interested in your customer or your partner's development, or the person you're saying. So when you give your value and that value resonates with your recipient, boom, there's a connection, and that connection happens emotively. So jo dikhta hai wahi bikta hai. Yes, you can. Again, me incorporated, what do you stand for, what are you adding in terms of value? That is what people are seeing. Agar wahi dikhega to khud bikoge. Go, sone pe suhaga.
There is one more very good question from the audience, Joy.
Sure.
And although it's not directly related with our topic, but that is the pulse. Millennials today, they focus mainly on entrepreneurship. Yeah,
Yeah.
getting job, competition, and all those aspects. They say, yeah, it's better I start something on my own, and that's a very good
Mhm.
thought, by the way.
Mhm.
But they are asking this question that yes, if I build me private limited, I'm a brand, then how it would help my startup garner money?
Two things. If you build your brand, people know you. So when you are communicating, you're doing a startup and you're trying to look for funding and everything, when you're communicating that, it's going to go to that community who already knows you, and they're going to refer you to a third person that you don't know, who might put in that 50 lakhs or 5 lakhs or 1 crore in the startup that you want. Number one. So now imagine, nobody knows Swaroop is Mr. Webinar, that he does hundreds of webinars. And all of a sudden, he says, I need 5 lakhs to set up an online platform just for webinar. Who's going to give it to him? You're going to spend the next 30 days, hypothetically, just build him up. Who is Mr. Webinar first? What have you done? What's your track record? So by having a personal brand, me incorporated, you're communicating your value, your expertise, and what that does in terms of benefit to the target audience. Then you say, hey, my business is, I'm making mineral water, but I'm making mineral water out of oxygen, not boring on the ground. And it's environmentally friendly or whatever, I'm doing it through osmosis. But to do it, I need to have X thousands of dollars or Y amount of money to get my startup going. people will reach out, because the first part, you've shown your credibility and your value. Do it. So a lot of business, I mean, it's not just for millennial. I don't put it down into such segments. Across, people who have worked for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years going into business, they think, have a fantastic product, it will sell. And my going in is always, before the product, think of the value that service or that product will give, and who will it give it to. Be very clear on the value, i.e., classically the value proposition and the benefit, to the who. Then start talking about it. You start talking as the business owner, even if you're just starting up. So, like I was saying, I'm working with a social enterprise project out of Bangalore for women, and you'll see the communication rolling out just after Christmas, New Year, right in the beginning of January, which is about 3 months. Near Holi is when the platform will be ready, and all the actual interaction work and product service exchange is going to start happening. Build your business that way, because if you don't have a personal brand, nobody knows you. You're one more new business owner in a whole pile. Remember, at your end in India, it's far harder because you're one more business owner in 25 crore people, right? So while you're leaving yourself away from the job market, thinking, let somebody else go and I don't want to have this happen, you're having a different set of variables to tackle. The common between the job market and your business, again, comes back to me, private limited. Who you are, what you are, is always going to add value. The last point on this is, when you invest in your personal brand, you never lose out. Never. Even if you stop after 1 year, 10 years, or whatever, there is a legacy that is going to be left behind, though our attention spans are very small and we will be wiped out until unless you're a celebrity. But I can guarantee you, the work that I'm doing right now, my clients who have never been business owners, who were never on social media themselves, the one of my clients, he posts once a month. But all of 2019, the gentleman did that 12 postings through articles on LinkedIn. And he arrived in COVID. And the best part is, in April of this year, this gentleman who is in a cotton material export business out of Bangladesh received his single biggest international order, which he has delivered this December. I finished my work with him in 2019. He continued on his own. I wasn't paid, I wasn't engaged. We were just exchanging thoughts and views. He came back to me in April when he got the order and he said, Joy Bhai, what do we do? I said, what do you mean? What do you do? Fulfill the order. He said, but I can't ship. I said, be honest, tell the guy. The client waited. The client paid him 60% of the order value through their bank. That's the value of the personal brand. It's not on day one. This guy got it, 16, 17 months later. He delivered now. He's not even been paid full. But the point is, he said, I wouldn't have got it if you hadn't made my personal brand go out. And mind you, once, but all he did is not the short post. He just did an article and put it out. End of story. That's how your personal brand will always benefit you.
That was really amazing, Joy. I really thought that when we were discussing on this topic, probably, I don't know if some segments of the society would feel that we were not touched upon, but like your name, you brought joy in everybody's life today, because you touched upon all the aspects and all the segments, that all the target audiences that we have today attending our interaction. So it was really amazing. And I think that 11 days to go for or 11 or 12 days to go for a
Yeah.
new year. All people are thinking about what to do, new year resolution. So me private limited is going to be a theme for most of the people here on. And people who are working with organization or CEOs, CFOs, they'll start focusing on making their employees as their brand endorsers, as brand ambassadors. And moving ahead, I think in times to come, we have fantastic things going to happen, because the things that we have shared today will change our lives forever. Thanks a lot, Joy. It was incredible having you on this platform, and we thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. It was a wonderful thing. Thanks a lot. Bye bye,
Thank you so
everyone.
much, Varun. It's
Thank
been a
you.
pleasure. Thank you so much. Pleasure. Pleasure.